Hey everyone, this is Scott Winterroth, and this is a recording of a live event I did for the Divi Chicago meetup. The topic was how to move a Divi website from one URL to another, or how to migrate a website. It's a little bit of a complicated process, so please feel free to watch this a few times if you need to watch it over and over again. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment on this post. And if you like, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Bye now. Here's the scenario. Let's just say I'm building a website. It's for a client. The client is actually internal. The client is me at this point, but I'm building a website and I want to sort of get it all set up and everything before I go live. So I've been working on my staging site. So this is stagingdev.wordspaces.com. So Wordspaces is a hosting company that I set up for. It's my hosting company, so I use that. I offer clients hosting, and this is off of my staging site. So I did write a book, and this is my book. And what I want to do is I wanted to create a landing page just for my book. So actually, this is all done in Divi. You can see here if I log into the staging site, which I already happen to be logged in, but you would log into WordPress like you'd normally log in. This is the WordPress site. You can see here that it's a Divi theme. Well, it's a child theme, but it's a Divi theme here. And ultimately, what I did is I actually imported this page from another Divi website that I already had built, right? Just to kind of move things along. Because I didn't have a staging site available to do this, so I had to make something up, so bear with me. But if you log in, there's a couple ways you could do this, right? Let's be realistic. This was just one page, so I probably could just went ahead, installed a WordPress site, installed Divi, and did the portability import-export feature. That's actually what I did in order to get this set up. So that would be the easiest way to go if I was just doing a one-page website or a landing page website. But what happens when you have a larger site, or you have like a 10 or 15-page website and you want the client, or a blog, and you want the client to approve every single page before you launch, right? Or it's going to take 6 months to build this website, not 6 minutes like it took me to build this one, right? So sometimes you need a staging site in order to do that, or you need some type of area where you have a live website. Now, again, there's a lot of you out there who could say, hey, Scott, why didn't you just build it locally, right? Why don't you do a local install on your computer? Well, I don't like doing local installs that much because, one, I like working inside the Chrome browser. I mean, you do, but I like working on a live domain because sometimes I change computers, or sometimes I've always just done it live. It's just my workflow, right? And additionally, when you do a local install or use a local install app on your computer or your device, you still have to generally migrate it when you're done. So it's not like you're going to lose this step per se. No matter what, you're going to have to take this, you're going to have to change URL and put it to the live site. So that's one reason why I don't typically use local installs. Also, with client stuff, it gets really difficult because they're going to want to see the website before you launch it, right? So we might as well just do it on a live server and get it done, right? So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to take this install for my book, my little mini book website. It's only one page, but this little mini book website, and we're going to change it to the live URL, right? So the live URL is going to be dacmodel.com, right? Now there's nothing here right now because the site's not set up. Another reason why you might want to do this way if the client has an existing website, right? So if they have an existing website that you don't want to take down while you're building their site, then you would need to set up some type of staging site. Some companies do offer like one-click staging, but most of the time I find those sometimes they don't work anyway. So you still have to kind of do it this way. So we're going to go through that process. Okay, first thing I need to do, number one, is I need to prepare my website to migrate. Okay, and I've created a nice little, as I offered in this meetup, I created a nice little checklist for what to do. Let me pull it up here. And I'm going to share this all with you before the night's over, so, just bear with me. But first thing we need to do is back up. It's important, whenever you're going to do something big like this, like we're going to do right now, like brain surgery on this website, we want to make sure we have a backup. Fortunately, since we're migrating the site and I'm not destroying the staging site in the process, I'm going to have a natural backup of the staging site no matter what. So I don't necessarily have to create a backup of this per se. But I always, as a disclaimer and as a sort of a cover myself, I always put you have to back up first, because no matter what, I want you to make sure you have a fresh copy. So the next thing I want to do is I typically use this plugin. It's called, it's free. It's in the plugin repository. It's called Backup and Restore Divi Theme Options. Backup, Restore Divi Theme. Well, watch, it's probably not in the repository anymore or something like that. Backup, Restore Divi Theme Options by Divi Space. So I like to install this. Activate. Okay. Now this is on, and all this does is basically creates a little section on the Divi's panel that you can download this backup. So I download this as a file to my computer. I'll save it on my desktop. Okay? And that's all I have to do with that. That backs up the Divi option. So like this, like the stuff you'd find in the Divi like theme options kind of stuff. It backs up this stuff, if you will. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my hosting company, and of course you would all use your whatever you use to access your hosting company, you would do that. But for mine, I'm going to go to my cPanel. So this is the control panel for my hosting where that staging site is located. So there's a couple of things I need to do. One, I need to download all the files of my website. Okay, so you can either do this with a file manager plugin. Like here's a FTP plugin called Transmit. You can do it this way. If you go in here to my server, I go to my public HTML, and then I go to this is my public folder, right? So stagingdev.wordspaces.com. This is the WordPress install that is my development site. Okay. I could do it this way, and then I could download it to my computer, then re-upload it to the new folder or the new server. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go to File Manager in my cPanel, go to the same place. I'm going to go to Public HTML. I'm going to go to stagingdev.wordspaces because that's my staging site. Now, I'm going to go ahead and select all in here. And I'm going to compress into a zip archive and hit compress. And then close. Now, if I hit refresh right here, you'll find the compressed file. WP, let's see here, where is it? WP admin.zip, right? And I'm going to download this to my computer, to the desktop. Okay. Now, of course, bigger sites will take longer, right? This is just happens to be a really small website, so it didn't take very long. Prepare yourself for a bigger site. It could take a lot longer. Okay. Now, let's go back to the dashboard here. And now what we have to do is download the database. Okay, so I'm going to go to my PHP admin. And because when I installed this, I named it into a database so I know which one it is, right? So it's staging, STG dev, staging dev, right? So I know it's this database. So I'm going to click on this database. And then here's all the tables: WP users, WP content, post, options, whatever. Some of you might say, why do you name your tables WP underscore? You know you're not supposed to do that. I did it for this because it's just a staging site and it's a demo. But normally I don't use the WP underscore prefix, just to clarify that. So what I want to do is I want to go to export. And on export, I do a custom export. And you can, it says it's got all the tables, right? All the WordPress tables are on here. And then when I'm done, I go down here to where it says, I also like to turn this on, add drop table. That means if you upload this into a database where the tables already exist, it's going to tell the tables to drop, to use, it overwrites. This is like an overwriting function. I usually turn this on just makes it easier. So, and then I'm going to hit go, and it's going to download this database. I'm just download it to my computer. Okay. So these are all these files. My WordPress site is on my computer and my database is on my computer. Okay. and my backup of the Divi theme options is on my computer. So I have got these 3 files that I can use to re-upload to the new site. So now we need to set up the new site. Let's go to, now the other thing I want to mention that this normally could be on another server, right? Like this could be on a different hosting company. It could be on a different server. It could be on a different area of your website. Fortunately, I'm using it on the same server. So I'm going to do it as if I was doing it to a different server because that's typically what most people are doing. But for me, I'm doing it on the same server because this is the only space I got right now. So first thing I need to do is add the domain name. So I'm going to go to Add on Domains. Add on Domains. And I need to add my domain name. So it's dacmodel.com. And I want to make sure it's the document root. And so /dacmodel.com, except this should be public HTML /dacmodel. Okay, and I don't need to create an FTP account associated with this add-on domain. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Add Domain. Okay, now if I go to the URL, it should say forbidden. Yeah, something like that. Okay, now I don't need to install WordPress because I already have WordPress all set up and I'm moving it over. So that's one thing I want you to make sure you understand. Like, you don't have to install WordPress. Some people will start to install a fresh copy of WordPress. You could install a fresh copy of WordPress, but I think you're wasting your time if you're doing it this way. So what I need to do is go back into my file manager, and I should have a new file manager here. And I need to go to public HTML, and I should have my new site set up. So dacmodel.com, and then now I need to upload that zip file of all the files that I downloaded. So on my desktop, I should have. Let's go to list here. So wp-admin.zip, right? So I'm going to go ahead and upload all the files, and this will take a minute because it's a pretty large file. Larger sites with lots of images can take a lot longer, but this only has like 1 image on it, so it's not so bad. Okay. So that's all uploaded. It says 100% complete, so I can go back. And now I need to unzip this folder. So extract. And then I'm going to extract it into the root of my URL, right? So dacmodel.com. Extract files. There we go. So there's my WordPress site. All the files for my WordPress site are here. I can go ahead and delete the zip file. I delete it because it's a really big file on the server. It just takes up extra space. So delete that. All right, so I've got the site here. Now I need to go to my cPanel again, and I have to create a new database. So I go to MySQL databases, or you could do MySQL. Well, they don't have it on here. So go to MySQL databases. And I need to create a new database, right? So this database will be DAC model. I think I can, it's only 7 characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So create database. Go back. Okay, so I have a new database. Now I need to make a user for it. So I need to make a user by going to add a database user. Here you go, add new user. So I'm going to call it DACUSR for DAC user. And I'll create a password here. And I'm going to hit create user. Okay, so it says I've successfully created a user. Now I'm going to go back. And you'll see here it says current users, and here's a user I created. Now I need to do one more step. I need to add the user I just created to the database I just created. So you click on that, and then I have to give it all privileges according to WordPress and hit make changes. It says you've saved this user to your database. So great. I can go back to the dashboard. Okay, now here's where things are going to get a little crazy. So bear with me here, guys. What I have to do is I have to upload the database into my PHP admin into my new database, the production database, or this is the database that's the live database. But in order for me to do that, right, I have to change URL of my database. Because the database right now, the URL in the database is going to be all set for, it's going to be all set for the staging URL. So I have just a text editor here. And you'll see it. Like, this is the actual database for WordPress. Most nobody sees this, right? Because this is all backend stuff. But you'll see right here, the site URL is http://stagingdev.wordspaces.com. I don't want that. I want my new URL. So you do a find and replace, Control F or Command F. So I want to find staging.dev.wordspaces.com. And I want to replace it with the new URL, so dacmodel.com. Don't do the HTTPS or HTTP. Don't make sure you don't do a trailing slash in one. Don't do any trailing slashes or anything like that. Just make sure it's exactly from before to after. You can this period you need because this is a subdomain, but no, like nothing before, nothing after, because that could screw things up. So now I'm going to do is I'm going to do a find and replace all. And it's going to go through and it's going to change all those URLs. Now, if I look at site URL, see it says dacmodel.com, which is what I want. This is also another way to change your site from HTTP to HTTPS, but that's a whole nother conversation for a different thing. We'll talk about that at a different time. But so now I'm going to hit save. Okay. So this is my empty, this was the old database. Now I'm going to go to the production database, the live database, and click on the DAC model one that I created. I'm going to go to import. And then I'm going to choose the file from my computer. And this is the one that I just did, modified today at 7:30. And it's going to go, I'm going to go ahead and import it. It could take a second. It's going to upload a pretty good sized file. There we go. It said 72 queries have been executed successfully. And you'll see here in my PHP, my admin, that all my databases are here. Users, meta, user meta, terms, taxonomy. WP options is one of the most important ones. And WP posts are all your blog posts and all your pages. So these are usually the two biggest and the two most important databases. Okay. Now I have to go back on my file server. So I'm in dacmodel.com. I need to go to WP config. I need to click on this and go to edit. And open it up in the editing mode. Okay, so I have to tell WordPress that like the back end has changed, right? So I have to change the database to the one that I just created, which is DAC model without the E. And I need to change it to the user that I just created. Did I do... Yeah, USR. Copy this. Paste. I'm going to enter the password. Sorry, guys, you can't see it. No, you see it anyways. All right. Well, I love y'all, so you trust me right here. And then ultimately my database prefix is WP. So I'm going to go ahead and click save. Now, if I go to dacmodel.com, oop, I was afraid of that. Bear with me here. So the site's there, right? So I don't have an SSL certificate on the site, but I had to refresh my browser cache. But now I should be able to log into the site just as if I was logging into the development site. And here, see, this is the DAC model dev site. So now all I have to do is go through here, go to backup, restore Divi theme options, choose the file that I uploaded or downloaded from the computer, upload this. There wasn't a lot of Divi themes configurations to this, so that's why it didn't look weird. But sometimes when you upload it and you've got like the header and stuff like that, like if you're using the basic Divi header, it can look like the original with the Divi logo. So you need to back up and restore the Divi theme options. And then now I need to make sure I go to settings. My site settings, make sure, take off dev site. This isn't no longer the dev site. Take off the tagline, set the time zone, and do all the stuff that you would do to, you know, make the site prepared to go live. Make sure you go to reading and make sure that discourage search engines is off. I've done this many times where I left it on an accident. And then finally, make sure that you go to Divi, go to theme options, and go to updates and re-enter your username and password API key. Looks like it kept it in there this time. Sometimes it doesn't always come over with the username and password, so make sure you do that. And then there's my site, just as it was before, on the domain name and launched. Obviously, if it's a bigger site, I have to go through and do more like making sure things are okay, do a lot more testing. Usually I go to Permalinks and go ahead and set the Permalinks right. Post name, yep, save that. So it generates a new htaccess file. And that is how I move a Divi website. The next thing I need to do is install the SSL certificate and do all that good stuff. So, so yeah, I hope that was a little bit of a crash course in migrating sites, but I hope that was helpful. I hope that was useful. I'm definitely open to any questions. I see some questions here in the chat. All right. Do you suggest for FTP when the size is big? Well, I don't. Yes. I mean, it depends what it is. Sometimes I go use traditional FTPs. Sometimes I go ahead and I just use the FTP in the browser. And that's it just depends when I'm at. I like to use the file manager when possible because it's usually easier and faster. Because if you have to download each individual WordPress file, you have to wait for. Well, I'll show you. Let's just do it right now. Let's go to FTP. I'll show you my desktop, right? So I'm in the FTP manager. This is the whole site here. I got to go to desktop. Let me create a new folder. New folder. We'll call this move, right? Open this up. I got to select all, drag it over here, and it does every single file, right? So it's going to take a while to go through every single file. I find that the zip file, zipping it up and compressing it on the server is much faster, especially for larger websites. So I almost always use the file manager unless sometimes I have no choice. Sometimes I just do it this way. It just depends what kind of mood I'm in, how much time I want to spend doing it kind of thing. So yeah, because sometimes when you do this too, like I can see files that maybe don't need to be moved. A lot of times too, before I do a move, I'll make sure there's no like big old like backups and stuff like that, like database backups on the server, because those all have to be downloaded and then they all have to be re-uploaded, which that takes a lot of time, right? And time is money, you know. So I like to check for things like that. Most of the time I forget though. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I forget, but that is a good thing to check for if you remember to do that. So yeah, that will just keep going in the background. But yeah, cool. Let's see here. Can you just call me to do the move? Absolutely. This is what I do. I'm happy to do moves anytime. I'll move it anywhere you want to go as long as the price is right. Just kidding. You know?